Okay. Hi. This one is late for a lot of reasons. I had a hell of a summer. The past couple of weeks or months have really just been one of those situations where every week I had some big job or some family disaster or something. What I'm presenting today was recorded months ago or so. A lot of things changed this year. It's been a hell of a year. I started a bunch of new projects, let go of some old ones. One of them might be a podcast. I don't know. I've been involved in a lot of things that might be podcasts. I'm going to do some housekeeping at the end of this video. You'll get to see me from however many months ago, and you'll see how much younger I was when this was recorded. But that me will explain some of the things that are going on. This is an ongoing talk show with my friend Thrash. I'm editing just a bit of it, and we'll see what gets edited in the future. But I think that these will come out on Sunday. I think for the next 6 Sundays or so, I will be putting out a piece of this. And thank you for watching, listening. Stay tuned. And there will be info in the video and at the end about watching us at 5:30 every Tuesday. Thank you.
How do, everybody? How goes it?
Sorry?
Oh, I was just starting the intro thing.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to cut an intro, because like that's what the cool people do. Is
Yeah.
they cut the intro and then they edit it so that it looks super cool. And
Oh, right. Yeah.
but I was gonna say, yeah, welcome to Thought That Was Weird. Here, of course, is Kuya DK rocking some Shadow of the Colossus. And we're going to watch along, and we're going to have a long discussion about a particularly fascinating book. And I've never read it, but I'm very intrigued to check it out. Um, it's a book called Hyperion, and I'm not even entirely certain um, about too much of the plot other than very minimal points. But
There's
yeah,
a space wars. A war among the stars, you could say.
yes.
And really, just about 10 years later, uh, than the original Star Wars.
Oh, wait, is that real? Like, is that it's like supposed to have happened 10 years after Star Wars, and like not
Well,
in
no, no,
the
no,
canon,
no.
but
It
like,
was the release of the book
oh,
Hyperion in our world,
oh, I see.
which is
Interesting.
funny. I'm going to be saying that a lot because there's a very meta element.
Mm-hmm.
It is, in a way, about our world. There are elements from our world
Mm-hmm.
in the book.
Yes, and like what I find really fascinating, the one thing that I have been told is that it is the like sci-fi Canterbury Tales, basically.
Yes, I have heard that.
Mhm.
I don't know a lot about the Canterbury. Is it like the first novel
So,
ever written? Is it something like that?
um, it was a epic poem written
Okay.
back in like,
And this
uh,
novel is very concerned with epic poems, which I explained to you earlier.
yes, no, and again, like that's like kind of the bit with um Canterbury Tales is that it's very much about the
Pilgrims?
it's about the individual pilgrim story. Yeah, yes, it's about like everybody has their own individual story, but they somehow affect each other in this very bizarre way.
Yeah. So in this book, everybody's story is about how their timeline got fucked up. Everyone's story is a little bit about a different kind of timey-wimey. Except for the first one. I'm gonna have to. Although I'm gonna. Well, obviously, Yeah.
Mm,
I don't really know when to begin, but eventually today I will start talking about each of the stories. But
mm.
here's the thing. I'm about to take my microphone to the other side of the room, but I'm going to start saying this word so much that it's going to be people aren't going to be able to stand me anymore.
Okay. Tickle me
This
intrigued.
book has got world building.
Oh,
The
you're gonna hurt people with that one.
the real people, I mean, it's one of those, you know what my least favorite word in the universe is?
Hmm.
Because it is itself the word neologism.
Neologism.
It,
What does that mean?
it means a recently made up word that everyone's using and it's fucking annoying.
A neologism. I got to
Yeah.
look this up. Oh, fuck! Why did I do that? Damn it! I'm clicking on
That's
the.
kind of what world building is.
Mm,
People are like, "Oh yeah, world building. Everyone's talking about world building." But this book fucking has it.
right.
Like really, everything that I try to explain about any of the storylines, I'm gonna have to explain some aspect of the world and why the world is like that. And that is
Right.
one of the I think one of the reasons I started getting into these books as much is because I started trying to explain them to one of my friends, and I was like, "Holy shit!
Mm,
This is because the plot line is short and simple, and you really wouldn't have to think too much about it, except you have to." I said the same thing about Game of Thrones and Elden Ring.
mm,
Your mind has to be active because you have to pick at the little tidbits, the tiny bits of lore to understand how the universe works, to
mm.
even get a grasp on the story.
Oh, I've definitely done some deep dives on trying to understand like at least like the first Dark Souls game because I don't have a computer. I don't have any means of getting a copy of the first Dark Souls game, but I have two and three, and I've been playing through two, and I honestly don't know where I'm going, what I'm doing, what the fuck is going on, and I'm perfectly fine with that. And I understand the like necessity of that to tell this story, but it's definitely a lot for me to take in, and and I as much as I don't like um spoiling games for myself. Like I find myself having to turn to like you know strategy guides and shit. It's definitely a game you have to read about before you really get into it.
Yeah, it's almost I don't know if there's like a term for it or if I'm like gonna be
A Souls style game.
almost it's a recess game. You're supposed to go out to recess at school and talk to your friends about what you found and where you found it. And then you're all supposed to go home and find the things that your friends found and figure out your way through the game together. It's supposed to be. It's basically, hi Daisy, it's a strand game.
Oh, hi
Do you know what
Daisy.
that means?
It's a Strand type game. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
familiar with the term.
Okay, yeah. That's what I mean really, that's what Dark
Yeah.
Souls is 100% a strand game. You're supposed to do it with your friends.
Mm,
Like even if you're not playing multiplayer, people are supposed to work through it together.
interesting.
And I
I've
mean, as you know, I am very fascinated with Dark Souls. Never mind. I know a friend of mine a couple months ago accidentally purchased
mm.
a key for Dark Souls for Macintosh, and I bet he
Oh
still
man.
has it. That's why I mentioned it if you were using a Mac.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
He accidentally purchased a Mac key drunk, and then I don't think he could get a refund.
He bought a Mac
Oh
key
God.
drunk. That's the worst.
Excuse me. Thought that was weird. Is that the official title?
I think that's I'm not even entirely certain. Again, we we need to find some time to workshop a new name.
I didn't mention that to you today because I kind of if that's the working title, I'm okay with it at this point. If we haven't discovered anyone else using it, basically, like
As far as I've
the first
seen, no.
one.
That's what, because I know we had a couple of titles that we were trying that were owned by other people.
So anyway, I listened to a book called Hyperion. This is a big deal for me.
Right
I
on.
don't listen to books. I don't read books. I used to read books so much. I can tell you so much about so many books. I haven't read a book in 10 years. You know why?
Why?
I'm going to say Twitter, but World of Warcraft and Twitch probably, and YouTube, the internet.
Yeah.
I have everything. There's first of all, one of the biggest changes over the past 10 years is there's now constantly something playing in the house. No matter what, there's a podcast or Star Trek on. When would I ever read? I read Twitter before bed. Um, so that, that's my old man yelling at cloud shit. But I discovered audiobooks. And Audible sucks. Don't give that. Well, I mean, you know what? I don't know. If you want to get your free credits and do the demo, go for it. But just be warned. I don't know exactly what happened. I thought I was well, I told you sort of, yeah.
Mm,
I suspended the account,
yeah.
but I sure didn't expect to get billed.
Yeah. Nothing worse, dude. Like,
Bezos can suck on my ass till my head caves in. So I listened to Hyperion,
mhm,
which is the name of an epic poem from the 18th century,
mhm.
just like Endymion and perhaps Lamia. I think Lamia is a Keats poem, and one of the characters' names. What's funny is I'm realizing
Mhm.
I'm not even positive what this one character's first name is, because I think her first name is Brawn, like someone who's strong, like
Mhm.
brawn. But I have no idea how it's spelled, and it could be just something weird that's how I hear the word. But anyway, one of the characters' names is Braun Lamia.
Bronlemia. Okay.
They're on a tree. They've climbed a tree full of Templars. The Templars are so there's obviously like I don't even know where to begin because I feel like you know what I guess I'll start telling you what happens, and when we
Mhm.
get to bits of world building, I'll kind of maybe we'll go on little tangents or whatever. We'll see what happens. Yeah, like I said, world building. There's the tree planet of the Templar Druids called God's Grove. There's Catholic planet,
Catholic
where there was
planet.
recently a heresy occurred. Um, and this is so I'll give you the basics of the. I think I'm supposed to go on a ledge, not in this little forest.
I forgot what the name of that colossus
Oh,
was.
oh, I don't. Do you know any of their names? I think I
I've
might know like one of their
I've
names.
never known any of their names. I will look them
I
up.
think the last guy is called Malleus, because of course he is. I feel like the last one is called Malleus or Maltheus.
Oh God, that snake one, that one that goes like underwater.
Oh my God. Have you had nightmares about it your entire life?
Oh my fucking God, have I ever?
Oh my fucking God. I did it the other day and it makes me physically uncomfortable. Like I've done it 5 times.
I
More.
know, I know.
For years. It's
So,
like,
yeah,
oh, there is something primally awful about that one.
it's
Because
terrible.
it pulls you under the water and you have to hang on.
Oh,
Like wherever the fuck it's. I hate the water in this game just because there's giant The whole game is about giant creatures.
so I guess the first one's name is Valis.
Valis
Yes,
with a V.
with a V.
Okay.
Valis, and then let's see what the second one is. So let's see, the second one is Quadratus.
Is that the
Uh,
horse?
uh,
No. Horse is number 4.
uh, it's the
Quadratus is like a bull.
yeah, I believe that. Yeah, he's got the horns on top of his head.
Wow, this
He
was
look-
the wrong time to light a joint.
oh wait,
Of course, like I for some reason, yeah, whap. While I'm walking around, I'm like, all right, maybe when I get there, I'll light a joint. And now I'm in combat.
this thing. I was gonna say, isn't there a duck?
Oh, what?
I thought there was like a hug a wall thing.
Oh,
Oh, you might want to do
you
that
know
though.
what? I don't know if there's like a hide or anything. I almost feel like you can just swim right up this thing's back. And this part is this is a real Miyazaki. This is a real Dark Souls camera situation. I don't know if this is how you're supposed to do it, but this is how I do it every time. Just fight with him. Because what he's doing is rotating to try to get me in front of him. And that's why the camera is being so weird, because I'm just fighting with him. And now I'm behind him. It doesn't feel intended. So there's the hegemony. I've always pronounced this word when I've seen it as hegemony, but I have no reason to believe that's how it's pronounced. So there's a hegemony of man.
Mm-hmm.
There is talk of like of alien plants and animals, and there is signs. I think one of the biggest unmentioned things,
Mm-hmm.
and it's occasionally people will say something about how like it's not the questions that go unanswered, it's the questions that go unasked. And shit, what was I talking about? The hegemony of man.
man, yeah.
That there's so much not even unanswered, but so much is very little is explained because there's a whole universe of planets. Oh yeah, I was gonna say I don't think there is any intelligent alien creature or race. I think all of the characters are gonna be human. Although uh yeah.
Nice.
All the characters are vaguely human. I mentioned to you that the ousters, the enemy, have been away from humanity so long that they have changed. There's the hegemony of man, which is also referred to as the world web, or the world web is really that's it's more like the world web is the geography. The world web is a physical thing because there are worlds that are connected to the web. So
Right.
like the web worlds, those are like the civilized worlds, you know what I mean? Those are like the first world nations of this
Right.
hegemony. And then anywhere within the web you can travel to instantly. Like you can walk through a teleporter. There are people that have web world houses or web houses, I think they might be called, which, they go through a door and the next room of the house is located on another planet.
What?
But outside of the web, and this is where it starts, this is where the first notes of timey-wimey nonsense start getting hit. So if you want to travel outside the web to an outback world like Hyperion, you're going to end up incurring a time debt while traveling through hyperspace, meaning that the people in your life will be aging and you will not be. And so if you go back to your original world, you will have missed potentially ages of time. So I think those are the important, that's probably, and like I said, when we get into more things like the techno core, so there are humans, but there's also AI that have seceded. The techno core is technically a different entity than the hegemony of man. So, they have to, they're allies, but they don't really trust each other, and humanity doesn't really know what the technocore is doing, and it obviously has its own agenda. And then there are the ousters who left after the destruction of old Earth, maybe even before. So there was a thing that happened, and I love this, called the big mistake. And this is actually funny because we were talking about
Yeah.
CERN. The big mistake was some scientific, inquest. And it doesn't, and again, this is something that it really doesn't go into exactly what happened. But the big mistake caused a black hole to form in the center of the Earth and destroyed it. So the Earth is gone, and Mars is, in fact, not even on the world web. Just kind of almost as a formality. Like if you want to go to Mars, you have to, take the web to like, whatever Ceres station or whatever, and then you have to take like a 1 week time debt trip just to visit Mars. Like I think which people go on pilgrimages to view like the remains of old Earth and shit. So that's the world. That's the basics of the world. But this is all about. There's one more thing I want to mention before we start talking about the story. There are 9. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. there is an indication that there has been life in the universe because there are 9 labyrinthian worlds so far that have been discovered. And these are worlds, and it's amazing to me that maybe this will get talked about more. But so far this is basically the least discussed part of this whole world. That 9 of the worlds that they've discovered, when they were scanned, the interior of the planet is filled with a labyrinth. And Hyperion is one of them. So some organized, intelligent race came before man. Other than that, I think they've only found plants and animals on other planets. So the Templars worship trees, space trees. I think they have a couple of like the true giant world trees that they've grown that can actually travel through space. They talk about the tree that they travel on ends up getting destroyed, and they talk about how it is a great tragedy. Travesty? Tragedy. Travesty. These characters are on a pilgrimage, the Shrike pilgrimage. There is a church on Hyperion called the Shrike Church.
Okay.
They go on a pilgrimage. They send 7 people. I don't think anyone has ever returned. And again, I should maybe say that also I listened to this while smoking marijuana, which should be clear.
Perfectly.
So there may be that should be known. So there may be things I missed, but also like obviously a big thing about world building is that a lot of it's going to be vague, and you get tidbits that you start putting together in a chain, and that's what's satisfying. So it is said that the members of the Shrike pilgrimage, when they reach the time tombs, will meet the Shrike. He will kill 6 of them and grant the wishes of the 7th.
Interesting.
I don't know. I think along the plot, this becomes known as the final Shrike pilgrimage, but I don't know if that's known at the beginning. And it's also weird because they don't at all, and I'm in the middle of the second book. They don't at all get into like how these people chose or came to be on the ship. Like there's this that you get all of their origin stories, but not the story of like, someone came and met them, they talked about how they wanted to go on the pilgrimage, they decided to go. We don't know how any of them actually ended up here. Because it infers that they were chosen by the government, and later it actually states that they were chosen by the Technocore. But it also kind of infers that they're all there of their own free will, and it also kind of infers that they're all there on a sort of devious basis, because first of all, each of them has encountered the Shrike in the past.
Mm-hmm.
The Shrike is a being.
A being.
Okay. And each of them wants to confront it again, either to kill it or because they believe in some way.
Mm-hmm.
It either has answers they're looking for, or they will be able to destroy it. The Shrike is a metallic creature with 4 arms, covered in blades. It's described as quicksilver, which in my mind means like liquid metal, and it is described as flowing. And one time at least I pictured it completely changing. Well, there's at least 2 scenes, and one of them might have been the way I interpreted it as I was listening to it. There's one scene that really sounds like it is completely changing shape and surrounding a character, although it really could have been me the way I heard it, and the Shrike was just sort of embracing the character, right?
Okay.
But the Shrike is the whole. And have you noticed I'm still not at, because now I started telling you before I even got to the story, I was like, so they're on a tree, and now I have to tell you about the Shrike and the pilgrimage. So like so much of this is going to be disjointed.
That's okay.
Because
I don't even
because of
remember if you covered the techno what are they
the
called?
Technocore, I didn't cover it. I just mentioned that it was there.
I was going to say I read a little bit beforehand about the technocore, and I found that super fascinating. That it's like basically like well, I don't mean to get you off track too far, but like
No, no, no.
but it's basically like an AI that was created by I don't know whom, but basically they obviously turned against whomever created them, and thus have begun starting havoc across the galaxies, as far as I'm understanding.
Well, the Technocore is a collection of AIs. It is like it's
Okay.
AI society.
Okay.
Humanity does not know where it is located, and it's basically it's their whole thing. It is their society. It's their political body, and it's almost a church as well, because their path to godhood is like I was telling you. They already have AIs that can predict the future to to within 90x% accuracy, and can also unpack the past
All right.
by using the same algorithms going in both directions. And actually, there are sort of there are three kind of political movements within the Technicore, and one of them is the Ultimates. And the Ultimates, that's basically the church. The Ultimates' goal is to find the ultimate, which is going to be that AI that can predict the future and unpack the past at 100% accuracy, because it's running on the algorithm of the universe. They have not achieved this yet, but I told you a little bit before, and we'll get back to it, but they have been unpacking the past. Hyperion is Hyperion is important because, well, the Ousters are mounting an attack on Hyperion. And I feel like, yeah, they were aware that this was coming. Anyway, that more they might not. That's the how this war came to be is probably not important. But there is a faction of humanity that has left. Hyperion is important because it is being attacked by the Ousters, but it's also important because of the uniqueness of this entity, the Shrike, because the Shrike is generally located in an area of Hyperion called the Time Tombs, and the Shrike itself and that entire area moves backwards in time. And so the Shrike probably is some kind of, and so yeah, it is thought, like, because it looks robotic, it is thought that it has something to do with the Technocore, but it is something that was created in the future and is moving backwards in time. And the time tombs with it, which are 4 or 5 structures that are located in this valley on Hyperion, where time is fucked, and the Shrike is a the physical embodiment of it. And I said that 6 of the pilgrims are killed by the Shrike, and it says that. It says they are killed in the book. It talks about how the Shrike how it only communicates through pain and death. The Shrike Church might not even call themselves that, because I believe they refer to it as the Lord of Pain.
Mm-hmm.
And nonetheless, despite the word death and kill being associated with it, and it actually at one point it does kill someone and leave their body, which I found very interesting. Maybe it doesn't do what I'm about to describe to everyone, but it does take a lot of the people that it kills and it hangs them on a metal tree that not only is moving backwards in time,
What?
but keeps them alive for eternity. Maybe because they're still moving backwards, but he hangs there's this metal tree somewhere that the church members and other people have had visions of,
Oh my gosh.
just covered in barbs, where just millions and thousands of corpses are hanging. Well, I shouldn't say corpses, because they are writhing in a perpetual state of suspended semi-life.
Oh man.
And when people have vision, so think about this. So the tree is moving backwards in time. It's hard for me to even figure out how it works, because if you have a vision of the tree,
Right.
whoever you see hanging on the tree will be hung there in the future. So you might see yourself or your traveling companions, because in the future they will be hung there. And that means they're hanging now. So if you were to physically look at it, you could see yourself hanging now, because in the future you'll be hung there, and then your body will travel backwards in time. So it only hangs in the past. So the Shrike itself is removing bodies from the tree from our perspective.
Like
All of
these.
that is not important at all. That's just stuff I was thinking about, like, wow, that's so fucked up.
That is extremely fucked up. I mean, that's a fun little addition to the rest of that story, dude.
Yeah,
That's
so
wild.
that's mostly that's mostly what the Shrike and the Time Tombs are about, and that's a big part of why there's an interest in Hyperion. And Hyperion is still outside of the world web, so it's still hard to get to, and you still have to go through, hyperspace or whatever, and take a time debt.
Yo, what's up? I'm Koya. I'm the other guy on the. I'm the other voice, and that's part one. Part one is the world building. We still don't totally have a format, so that's why I'm here to kind of cap this off. I believe there will be 6 more parts, one approximately 30 minutes long, and the other 6 parts will focus on the 6 chapters of the book. And then we'll probably move on, and we'll see if we continue to do this 30 minutes a week as an edited. We'll see what happens. But thank you for listening. Thought That Was Weird is the name of whatever this is. I don't think it's a podcast. Maybe it is. I don't know what that is. Whenever this is published, hopefully there will be another episode 1 week from then. Look at my cat. Oh, 2 cats. Perfect. Thought That Was Weird is live at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Tuesdays on twitch.tv/thrashkshu. I'll put it on it'll appear right on the screen now. It'll be there. It's there. It's currently there.